Reservation Dogs is one of the standout shows of 2021, both on air and online. The show gives a unique and comedic glimpse inside the lives of a group of Native American teenagers. Although it's set in a fictional town in Oklahoma, the show is being celebrated for its ability to walk a fine line between being true to the experience of Native Americans while also appealing to non-Native audiences. Part of that has to do with the terrific music used in the show, which helps set the scene without relying on cliches and stereotypes. Correspondent Laura Paskus recently caught up with the composer for Reservation Dogs, Mato Wayahi, to find out more about his creative process.
Mato, thank you so much for joining me today. I'm so excited to have you on New Mexico in Focus.
Yeah, thank you for having me. I'm excited to be here.
So you were the score composer for Reservation Dogs, a wildly successful show that just wrapped up its first season. Can you explain to us, what does a score composer do? And specifically, what were you setting out to do with this particular show?
So the score composer basically creates all of the original music for the series. So when you watch the show, there's a lot of songs that we license. So it'll be like a Link Wray song or the Stooges or what have you. And so obviously I have nothing to do with that, but I have all of the other music that you hear that's original or that you don't recognize or that sounds new that's me. So it's kind of, it creates the ambiance for some scenes, whether it be a scary scene or a funny scene. That's kind of what I'm doing, is creating the sounds around that. And I think a lot of with the intention of it, Sterling and I, the showrunner, we had a lot of conversations before things actually geared up, and it was, what about my music, personally, what can I bring to the table, and how does it resonate with a lot of the thematic qualities of Reservation Dogs? And fortunately, there were a lot of similarities, and there was a lot of alignments with what I'm trying to do with my own music and then what the show has done and accomplished. And so it was a really good partnership and a good collaboration. And so that was kind of the intention with it too. It was kind of to subvert what people expect of Native and Indigenous representation. And so as a Native artist, that's something that I really strive towards as well, is to kind of subvert that and to kind of create new meaning in our own definitions of it. And so I think the show has done such a great job of doing that as well. So yeah, that was kind of the intention with the music.
That's awesome. So I love the show so much. And my favorite episode is episode 5, the story of Dear Lady and kind of Officer Big's origin story. And that Redbone song, Come and Get Your Love, is such a huge part of the whole episode. And I was wondering if you could talk a little bit about what you did within that show and how the music really defined the whole story of that particular episode.
Yeah, that was a fun episode to do. There's I was tasked with a couple different assignments for that one. There was kind of the one, there was the low kind of brooding score of when Dear Lady's around. And so that was really fun to do, because that's something, that's like very classical composition for a lot of, Western film, is that type of droning stuff. And so that was fun to dip my toes into. And yeah, it was a good time. And then also, but on the flip side, there was really funny moments with with Officer Biggs and Cheese, and they're going through the car, and you hear that really just 80s, synthetic Miami Vice type of vibe. And so that was me too. And that was really fun to do as well, because it was the juxtaposition between the two. And I think that's the most fun part about working on the show. One of them is that the variation in musicality is really, it's fun. It's always a challenge for me. It's always nice to try different stuff. But yeah, that was, those were, I think, some of the two prominent score pieces that I did for that. Yeah, it was like the Dear Lady and then the Tribal Cop Chase, which is, so I listen to that sometimes just when I need a little pick me up. Yeah, it's super fun.
Yeah, really just an extraordinary episode. One of the other things that makes Reservation Dogs so unique is, at the same time that you're honoring and raising Indigenous culture, it also has such a wide appeal to so many audiences. We were talking here the other day about the episode with the owl, and how the owl is kind of blanked out. I was wondering, how do you go about balancing that same fine line with the music and the score?
In terms of kind of creating like a lane for some traditional aspects. Is that what you're wondering? I think so. That was the conversation that Sterling and I had, and I think the tropes of Hollywood involving Native and Indigenous people are so ubiquitous in a lot of different ways, and so our whole task was to make sure that we didn't fall victim to any of those. And so, with that, I mean, we there were a couple different elements of incorporating that, but there was like no, we had a rule like no native flute until we used a native flute, but it was more for the irony than it was for the actual sentiment. But there was a moment in the last episode, the season finale of, so there's a tornado and there's this like break dance beat that I made. And so I remember we were in a sound spot meeting, which is basically deciding what music is going to be in the episode and what I need to make. And so Sterling, he said, Matsu, you should make a dance beat or something. I was like, okay. And then he's like, also, I'm going to send you a Muskogee Cree like war cry, like a war chant. And so I said, okay, so if you listen to the song, and the score is available on all the streaming platforms, you'll hear during one of the breaks in the song, there's like this war cry. And then I edited it to where it's on rhythm and it goes to the song. And so there's little things like that as well, that you're kind of like sampling the culture and re-implementing it and re-emphasizing. And that's very hip hop in the essence of, rap music and production. And so, and the show is very hip hop in a lot of ways. And so it was nice to implement that, as well as, incorporating some traditional aspects.
So this show features all kinds of great music, including like Yassine Bey, Narcy, Blackbird, The Hallucination, just so much great music through every episode, and also your own music. Can you talk a little bit about your own work and your creative process?
Yeah, so I started making music when I was 15, 16 years old. I'm just 24, like in the last couple of days I turned 24. And so so I've been doing it for quite a while, and I don't know, I think I just I had no intention of doing scoring or anything. I had always produced my own music, and my music is very, it's very hip hop, very poppy, a little bit of jazz and stuff. And so I'd always made my own music and with no intention. And then I think, with scoring, it kind of answered a lot of questions for me as to why I might have done that, because I was working kind of in the dark. I didn't know why I was making all my own music and producing it. And now with scoring, it's a very hands-on job. And so it feels like I'm ready for it, and I'm grateful that I just kept going with it. But yeah, I mean, I sing, I rap, make the beats and everything like that. So I take a lot of pride, and it's so fun to me. Like it's like the best time. And so with the scoring, specifically with Reservation Dogs, I'm asked to do a lot, but in the best way. It's like sometimes I'll need to sing, sometimes I'll need to rap, sometimes I'll need to make a scary, like sci-fi song or composition and stuff. And so I feel equipped just from what I've done previously. So that's kind of like what I've been doing recently, is just, making my own music and then also scoring and stuff.
On your website, you write about building a world where Native American and Indigenous artists can fearlessly express themselves. How close do you think we are to that world? Are we there right now, or is it coming?
It's a great question. I think it's kind of an everlasting journey for a lot of Native and Indigenous kids to, decolonize their expectations of themselves and their definitions of our communities and of art and expression and fearlessness and all these different components to what it is for you to kind of find yourself. And so I think I've just noticed in my work with Indigenous youth and, throughout my lifetime and my recent past couple of years, is I just noticed that a lot of a great space to kind of heal from these different historical traumas and generational traumas is just expression and creative freedom and creative license. And so I think that's an ongoing thing. And I don't expect to see any, like, I don't know, I guess like quantifiable change in my lifetime or anything. But yeah, if I can inspire some kids to just think that they can do it too, and think, well, why am I not doing this? And so because I wish I had that growing up, but I didn't have someone who does what I do, and so I want to be that for the next generation. And so that's kind of the sentiment behind that. And yeah, I think we are getting there. I think we're nearing towards it. I think a lot of it comes with these different aspects of representation and also just agency and things. So it's very exciting to see, and it's funny people call it like the Renaissance, but I think we've known how powerful our art is for thousands of years, and so it's nice to see other people see it and also relate to it as well. Because
Yeah, I'm
but
curious.
yeah, that's
Oh, sorry. I'm
oh
curious
no, go ahead.
how you think audiences can help build that world. Like, what do we need to be doing?
That's a great question. I guess with a lot of the representation in the art comes this aspect of humanizing our experience, because I think that's one of the most debilitating qualities that colonization has had, and all these different things, is like it's taking away the human aspects of who we are. And you see that a lot with mascots still, and the whole Halloween costumes, and that viral video of that woman doing that chant and that dance and things. It's like these very dehumanizing elements. So I think understanding our human experience and honoring it, and yeah, having relatability, because what we go through, what a lot of Native and Indigenous populations go through, it's somewhat similar to what a lot of different marginalized communities go through. It's just it looks different and it's concentrated differently, but it is the same. It's still those same human components. And so yeah, I think just being empathetic, and understanding that there's no monolithic idea of what a Native person is or what an Indigenous person is, and things like that.
And so, what are you working on right now, or what's next for you?
Those NDAs, I can't right now. I'm just hanging out right now, working on some new music, a couple different projects, a couple different TV projects and whatnot. It was nice. I spent the whole first half of the year working a couple different jobs, and so it was kind of high stress, and so now I'm kind of debriefing and decompressing. And I got to join the writers room for season 2, which was really fun, and it's fun to see what everybody's up to and the ideas that they're having. So that's been great. And then just visiting family, stuff like that, kind of taking it easy. But always kind of my mind doesn't ever stop working on music, so I'm always thinking about it, always writing stuff. And I think also I want to keep sharpening my tools for next season to make sure, because the show is going to be bigger and better, as they always are, and so I want to be bigger and better with my own music to complement it. And so it's been fun though. It's been a good life.
So good. Well, I can't wait for season 2. I love this show so much, and really the music is such a big part of what makes each episode so interesting and unique and just really great. So happy birthday. It was really great to talk with you, and thanks for joining me on New Mexico in Focus.
Yeah, thanks, Laura. I appreciate it.